Good morning, everyone. This is both the annual and the regular board meeting of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority for March 25th, 2022. Let's start with the roll call, Deb, which
Sure.
I understand the roll call is for both the annual and the regular board meeting.
It is. Okay, Ms. McCormick Barron,
Here.
Ms. Costello,
Here.
Mr. Domock, Ms. Lieber,
Here.
Dr. Morell, Mr. Schuley,
Here,
Ms. Strasburger,
Here.
Mr. Thomas,
Here.
Mr. Turner.
Present.
We have 8 of 9 board members present.
okay, very good. This annual meeting, the next order of business is the election of officers. And we're going to move to resolution number 38. Mark Nowak.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning to all. As mentioned, this is the annual meeting in which board officers are elected for a one-year term or until their successor is elected. I will conduct the meeting for the election of the officers and then return the gavel to the new chair for the remainder of the business. May we have nominations for the positions of chair, vice chair, secretary treasurer, and assistant secretary treasurer.
Yes, this is Jim Turner. I would like to move the following slate. Alex Schuley as chair, Erica Strausberger as vice chair, E.J. Leber as secretary treasurer, and Mike Domock as assistant secretary treasurer.
Thank you. May we have a second to consider the motion for discussion?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Any discussion to include any other nominations?
Just a point, I just want to make the point, I'm glad that the officers are now going to get a competent secretary treasurer in place. So I'm glad to see that. Thank you.
Pretty big shoes to fill, Jim.
I'd like to just say at this time, first, thank you to BJ for stepping up into the role that Jim is vacating. As many of you know, Jim's last board meeting will be in April, and we'll have appropriate time to talk about Jim at that time. But I also want to thank Jim for his many years of service on PWSA board. I think this is Jim's third tour of duty, and above and beyond the normal service that you would have to an authority. But Jim is quite the extraordinary person, as many of you know, who has given a significant portion of his time and energy to public service. And so I thank you, Jim, for the time that you've been on the officer of the authority. And thank you, BJ, for stepping up into that role. And we'll talk a little bit more about Jim in the next month's meeting.
Any other comment or discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the nominations and the motion, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the slate of officers has been unanimously approved. Congratulations to you all, and I turn the gavel back to our new chair and old chair, Mr. Schuley.
Right, the chair of old. Okay, very good. Thanks, Mark. We'll move to resolution 39. Resolution 39 is to amend the bylaws to return the annual meeting back to February for next year. As you know, we pushed it back to March of this year, but so I'm proposing an amendment, amending the bylaws to change the annual meeting back to February of next year. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, BJ.
Thank you, BJ. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 39, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Resolution 39 is approved. Now we're going to, I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn the annual meeting, and we'll move to the regular board meeting. May I have a motion to adjourn the annual meeting?
So moved.
Second,
Thank you.
Jim Turner.
Thank you, Jim. Any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning the annual meeting, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the annual meeting is adjourned. We'll move to the regular board meeting. First item is a call for public comment. And Deb, my understanding, there are no speakers, right?
There are no registered speakers today.
Okay, next agenda item is the approval of the meeting minutes of February 25th, 2022. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thanks, Peg. Any discussion? All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of February 25th, 2022, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the meeting minutes are approved. We move to reports and updates. We start with the Finance Department. Mr. Barca.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, members of the PWSA Board. Included in your board packet is the finance report through February 28th, 2022. Within the finance report, you will see that year-to-date receipts are up 28.6%, or approximately $6.5 million. Having said that, and similar to last month, I will point out that a large portion of that increase is due to the timing of payments, as well as the comparison to February 2021, which was heavily impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. I do expect our receipts growth to normalize as we progress through 2022, just given those factors. In addition, our cash balance remains at a historic high. I also expect our capital expenses to accelerate given the Penvest closings that have occurred since the beginning of this year. Those closings have provided funding in the approximate amount of $51 million. And that $51 million is going to fund our 2021 small diameter sewer rehabilitation program, our 2021 small diameter water main replacement program, and our 2022 priority lead service line replacement program. All very important projects and programs as we move forward with our capital improvement plan. It is at this time, I'll turn it back over to the board and answer any questions that they may have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Any questions for Mr. Barca?
No questions. This is Jim. Just a comment to thank him for all of his efforts while I served as the treasurer. And Ed was always available and has done a great job. And BJ's in good hands. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. All right, let's move to the engineering department. Mr. King.
Good morning, Chair Shuley and members of our board. I would like to begin by acknowledging our team of PWSA staff, including the valve crew of the Department of Operations, the engineering and construction project management team, as well as our construction management and inspection team of consultants. This collective team has earned our gratitude for their hard work and very long hours on several overlapping water distribution system capital improvement projects, including the 2019-2020 small diameter water main replacement, the BRT project, as well as the 2021 small diameter water main replacement. The construction work associated with these projects started in June 2020. With the 2019-2020 small diameter main transitioned into the BRT, and we are now starting up the 2021 small diameter main project, which is anticipated to be concluded in March of 2023. This will be nearly 3 years of continuous and at times overlapping work. By the end of the 2021 small diameter water main, the combined scopes for these 3 projects is significant and is anticipated to have addressed over 25 miles of new water main installation, over 3,266 service lines, of which 923 lead service lines will have been replaced, and the total cost of $94 million of construction. So thank you to our CMCI consultants for their inspection and management of the work on 6 separate contracts. Thank you to PWSA's Department of Operations valve crew, which was led by John McCarthy, who have completed hundreds of shuts for engineering and construction in the effort of getting the new pipelines tied into our system. We acknowledge that these projects have placed an incredible burden on operations staff above their day-to-day duties. And without their assistance, cooperation, and guidance on these projects, it would not have been completed in such a timely and uninterrupted fashion. So next, I'll provide an update on the ongoing progress with the water reliability plan. On March 14th, 2022, PWSA did receive the public water supply permit for the construction of the Highland Reservoir Supply and Rising Main project. This project was promptly advertised for bids starting on March 20th, and the bids are due on April 20th. We are on target to bring the construction contract for award recommendation before the board during the May 27th board meeting. This work is scheduled to start in construction in July of 2022 and will be completed by the end of 2024. So currently, PADP is in the process of reviewing the 5 remaining active water supply permit applications for construction of WRP infrastructure. We will continue to keep the board updated on the permit progress and status in future meetings. And then with regards to the WRP projects that are in construction phase already, construction efforts are ongoing with Rising Main 3 rehabilitation and replacements project in Highland Park. That is on track and moving forward smoothly, thanks to the contractor and crews. Mobilization for the Highland 2 Reservoir Liner and Cover project is in progress, and we would like to recognize the ongoing coordinated efforts between the staff and engineering and construction and the Department of Operations for successfully isolating and draining 125 million gallons of the Highland 2 Reservoir, facilitating the start of that particular critical infrastructure replacement for the liner and cover. Finally, I want to thank all of our CMCI consultants who have agreed to join PWSA's construction team in the boardroom tomorrow morning on a Saturday, almost approaching standing room capacity only, to conduct a full day of necessary training of our consultants, staff currently under contract to perform CMCI duties in the near and long term. The training consists of 8 modules. They'll address subjects such as safety, compliance and ethics, lead service line replacements, and utilization of the GIS application. So thanks to Darby Neidig and Dan Duffy for spearheading this effort. And now I'll turn it back over to the board should you have any questions.
Thanks, Barry. Anyone have any questions or comments for Mr. King?
Yes, this is Jim. Very good news on getting the first permit in place. So 1 down, 5 more to go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots going on, Barry. Thank you for all of your service and your staff, all the work that's going on. You'll have to tell me later how you coerced all of those inspectors to come in on a Saturday for this training, but that's good. And we appreciate the time and effort that you're making here for the authority.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. King? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move to the Chief Executive Officer's report.
Thank you, Chair Shuley, and good morning, members of the board and the public tuning in. I want to begin by congratulating our new slate of officers, and congratulations to our newest member, BJ Leber. Very grateful for your continued volunteer service to PWSA. Remain grateful for everyone's service, but stepping up that level of commitment is a big one. And we appreciate you doing so for the benefit of the authority. So looking forward to working with you more closely as Secretary Treasurer. Turning over to my remarks, we talked about the CMCI training going on tomorrow. I think a key component of that training will also include our compliance and ethics programs, in recognition that PWSA has a renewed focus on environmental compliance and ethics. We are embodying that in our core values, which we released the organization early this year. And our contractors and our inspectors are an extension of PWSA. So we have an obligation to make sure that they appreciate and understand that, know the resources that are available to them to report compliance or ethical issues. So wanted to just highlight that. I have been going out to our field sites and sharing our renewed mission, vision, and core values, of which one of those core values is ethics and integrity. And this is something that we will continue to talk about as an organization. The systems that we have in place that we've developed over the last quarter or so are a really great first step, but we're going to continue to embody that core value as we move forward. And so just wanted to call that out. It has been a pleasure to go out and see. The leadership team has been to almost every facility. We have just Brilliant Yard left, where we're going to engage them on this strategic mission, vision, and core values, and to have Frank Sideri, our Chief Environmental Compliance and Ethics Officer, at each of those engagements to talk about those programs with our field staff, who are such a critical component of what we do. Barry highlighted the dance that we do in coordinating between engineering and construction as we make repairs and work on engineering projects out in the system. And that building that relationship is really going to be key to our success with all of the projects that we have moving forward. So very exciting to see from my perspective, and kudos to the team for working together. On a customer service note, I do want to note that the winter shutoff moratorium is ending at the end of this month. However, PWSA we have programs in place that we have never had before in terms of assistance. So if there is anyone that is currently in that moratorium status that needs additional resources, or if you know of anyone, we implore you to give us a call. There are cash assistance programs, monthly bill discount programs, of which we now have 5,439 customers enrolled as of yesterday's day's end. We also have balance forgiveness programs that as long as you make continual on-time payments, we will forgive some of that balance. So long story short is, while the regulatory moratorium on shutoffs is ending, there are still resources for those who are having a hard time paying their bill. In addition to our programs, there are federal and state cash assistance programs as well, and we have a team in place who can explain all of those options to our customers. Shifting over to our lead service line replacements and the lead help team, I do want to give a shout out to the lead help team specifically, because they lost 2 of their 3 customer service representatives at really a key piece of a key moment in time for our lead service line replacement construction projects that are ramping up this year. And the team has really come together, stepped in, and filled that void with those 2 unexpected departures within the team. They have worked together to make sure that we have secured over 800 customer agreements that we need in order for us to move forward on these lead service line replacements. And they continue to collaborate with other elements of PWSA's construction projects. For instance, we have green infrastructure projects where there are actually lead service lines that are in the way. We rely on the lead team to make that replacement, finding various resources and doing that hand-to-hand communication with our customers and explaining the importance, walking through these legal agreements. So a big shout out to Dom, Tasha, Bianca, and Michelle for stepping up. We have been able to fill those gaps in the team, and they can go back to more of their regular duties, but did want to give them that recognition this month. Many of you have either seen on your commute or on the news the large water main break we had about 2 weeks ago on Butler and Butler Street. near the Highland Park Bridge. The construction, unfortunately, has continued longer than we thought. The original break was on a 42-inch water main that we believe was installed in 1906. And the break was actually on a patch that our estimate was made on that line in the 1980s. While we had the area excavated, we actually were able to identify a few other breaks. There are multiple lines in the same location. We have a 42-inch diameter sewer water line. That's the one that had the large destructive break, but there is also an 8-inch line and a 36-inch line. And we are making repairs on those while we have the road open. Those lines have interconnects, and we are making sure that those are in good shape before we move forward and close the street. So a wise move for the team to recommend that approach, though we recognize the traffic disruption is painful. We will get out of the way as soon as possible, but the last thing we want to do is to restore that major intersection and have to tear it up again in the near future due to these other issues that we're having with leaks. We also have been able to replace some lead service lines in that area, and we have been able to make some reconnections for properties that were really not supposed to be connected onto that large diameter main. So while it may look like it's taking longer than it should, the contractor crews and PWSA crews have really been working around the clock for the last 2 weeks to get that tightened up. I do want to thank our construction management team, especially Don Gahn and John Wida, working with our operations crews to get that project moving along. We have had lots of breaks, thankfully, not many at this scale, but we have been very busy this winter or into the early spring. Finally, I want to flag in the performance report that last month we were able to actually exceed our goal with respect to the average length of a disruption in service. It's under 6 hours, and it's been the first time for some time. A lot of the timeline it takes for us to restore a break is somewhat out of our control. We obviously want to make sure that we're performing repairs safely, but we're very sensitive to the inconvenience it causes customers when we have to make a repair and put them out of water. So that's why we have that 6-hour goal, and we were able to beat that last month. So hats off to our field operations team and the field operations management for allowing us to accomplish that this month. And that wraps me up for this month. Happy to answer any questions from the board.
Thanks, Will. Any comments or questions for our CEO?
Yes. Yes, this is Jim. Will, just to thank you for getting out and visiting all of our sites, all of our employees. As you know, there's plenty of work to keep you chained to your desk nonstop, but I do appreciate the effort. It is important for you to get out and be seen. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. It's been great to have a team to support me in those visits as well.
Well, I may have missed this, but the 2 positions that you said went vacant, are they now filled?
Is my understanding they are. Yes, we're just training them.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, just wanted to comment that, while the Butler Street break was above the fold on the Post-Gazette, which is never good news, but the work and the decisions that were made were good decisions to keep that line in service and other lines in service, and hopefully for a very long period of time. And we didn't have to get to a boil water advisory, and customers were out of water for a very short time. There was obviously disruption to some businesses, but was handled pretty well given the size and diameter of the break. So congratulations to you, the staff, all of our construction folks for a job well done. And hopefully we'll get the street back in operating order completely and restore traffic fully. So thank you again.
Thank you, Alex. I actually got to see the break site. It was quite dramatic, but the team did an excellent job in maintaining service for nearly every property, which was a surprise to me given the scale of the break. So a real hats off to them to be able to minimize disruption, on the water service side. So thanks for those comments.
Well, I just wanted to add to that. the data you provided about the response time for breaks going under 6 hours, for water loss is really important. And I think significant given the erratic weather we've had. It's certainly can't have been easy on some days. So thanks for the good work of the team.
Thanks, Peg. Yes, the freeze and thaw season is particularly rough on our 80-plus-year-old average water lines.
So if we have any breaks, they happen right outside Penn Avenue where we have all of our CMCI crew there on a Saturday to make sure they're all ready to go. So anyway, all right, we'll move to the resolutions if there aren't any other questions or comments for Will. All right, Will, you're first up, resolution number 40.
All right, resolution 40 is appointing the ethics officer of the Pittsburgh Water and Sewer Authority. And we are requesting board approval of Frank Sideri to replace Danny Cerrone and act as the ethics officer for the authority. I will add that Danny Cerrone remains a resource for Frank and all of PWSA on ethics issues, but this is a formal appointment of Frank to replace that role, given Frank's title and role within the organization as a full-time employee.
Thank you, Will. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thank you, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thanks, Peg. Any discussion?
Yes, this is Jim. I do worry a little bit as to how much we're putting on Frank's plate, although there is the adage that says if you want something done, give it to a busy person, because busy people get things done. So Frank, just remember, anything the board or staff can do to help you on this, we will certainly try to do so. So thank you for taking this on.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments or questions? All in favor of resolution number 40, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Are there any abstentions? Okay, resolution number 40 is approved. Resolution number 41, Mr. Barca.
Resolution number 41, approving the award of a professional services agreement for municipal advisory services to Public Resources Advisory Group Incorporated. This is coming out of the operating budget in an amount not to exceed $335,656.
Thank you, Ed. May I have a motion?
So
Motion
moved.
to approve. Second, Jim Turner.
Any discussion?
Yes, question for Ed. This is Jim. Ed, my understanding that the advisory group is paid when we do bond issues. Do you have any concern about there being a conflict in terms of them recommending unnecessary bond issues?
It's a good question, Jim, and I do not. Public Resources Advisory Group is our current advisor. We had bid this out and, selected them again just based on the bids that we received. Having said that, our prior experiences, they have actually never solicited the authority to go to market to issue bonds. It has always been at our discretion, so I don't have any concerns there.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Barca? All those in favor of resolution number 41, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 41 is approved. Resolution 42, Ed.
Resolution number 42, authorizing the issuance of debt in a principal amount not to exceed $225 million for the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act, known as WIFIA, that is administered by the Environmental Protection Agency for the purpose of funding a portion of the costs associated with the water reliability projects.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Erica Strasburger.
Thank you, Erica. Is there a second?
Second, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Discussion.
Yes, Ed, this is Jim. This bond issue has caused me to, or but the future bond issue, to scratch my head several times in understanding it. Could you give the board just a little more detail on how this will work?
Sure. So this specific loan we're receiving from the EPA is through the, as I mentioned, through the program called the Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act. And how it works is it's direct financial assistance from the federal government. So this is not a public bond. This is a bond offered directly through the federal government to the authority. And the mechanics of it, without getting into too much technical detail, is that the authority has 5 years to draw the amount up to $225 million. And after that 5-year period, then the authority begins to repay the amount that has been drawn. And the authority only repays what has been drawn. So as an example, if the authority only needed $200 million after that 5-year period, that's what would be paid back to the federal government. That structure gives us flexibility to get this, work completed, but also certainty on the debt service schedules moving forward. So it's definitely a benefit all around.
Also, Ed, am I correct that the interest rate we expect to pay is less than what we would pay if we were going to market?
Yes, we're expecting, even with interest rates rising or expected to rise in the coming months, we're expecting an interest rate around 2 or 2.5% on this loan, which is at least a percentage point or more below the public market. So again, another benefit through this program.
Thank you.
Ed, is this a fund that is replenished through the repayment? So there would be funds potentially available in the future through this fund?
It is not. So this is only specific to those projects. So we can use all of the monies allocated, but only for those projects. We cannot, it's not a rolling line of credit for future projects, if that makes sense.
Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a question about the 225 million. While that's a significant amount of money, our capital program obviously is larger than that. How did we get to the 225? Was that a function of projects that were eligible, or was it more based on what we can absorb financially?
A combination of all. So, first and foremost, we do look at what we can handle financially. And, one of the reasons we are going down this path with the WIFIA program is the cost savings we've realized versus the public market. So that's one aspect for sure. Then the other aspect is, we looked at in total what it cost for the water reliability projects. There's a number of them in there, but the total cost is over $337 million. And the WIFIA program only funds a portion of the total cost. And so we looked at, what will this cost us in total? And then we backtracked into really figuring out what WIFIA could fund based on their requirements. And so that's how we came up with the $225 million.
I think it's probably also important to note for the board that this took a lot of work just to get to the 225 million. I remember we were talking about this 2 or 3 years ago when the legislation first came out, and we said, I wonder what we can do in this regard. And you and your team took this on as a priority for the authority. And so here we are several years down the road, benefiting from the work that you and your staff did to apply for these WIFIA loans and to help offset the costs for our ratepayers. So congratulations to you, your staff. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
All those in favor of resolution number 42, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 42 is approved. Resolution number 43, Mr. Felser.
Good morning, board members. Resolution 43 is the approval is requested to piggyback the Sourcewell contract number 083116 for office equipment and supplies to lease 13 Sharp multi-function printers in an amount not to exceed $290,610 for a lease term of 60 months. This is a continuation of services from a previous contract with the Wilson Group, who is the vendor we're leasing through. The recommended action is to approve the award of this purchase to the Wilson Group.
All right, thanks, Jason. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Mark Thomas.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion?
Yes, this is Jim. Just a comment that even though the award is in a not to exceed $290,000, this is a multi-year contract, and all of that, the expense will be recognized over the life of it, not all in 1 year. So that's the right way to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 43, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, resolution number 43 is approved. Resolution number 44. Mr. McFadden.
Good morning. Resolution number 44. Approving the award of option year 3 of an operating contract for pickup and removal of clean fill to Vigliotti Landscape and Supply. This is out of the operating budget for $255,631.
Thank you, BJ. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to
Jim
approve.
Turner.
Second, Peg McCormick
Second.
Byrne.
Thank you. Is there discussion?
Yes, just one question, BJ. I was very pleased to see that 100% of this is going to MBE and WBE firms. But my question is, has this company lived up to that with their past work?
Yes, I believe they have. Emily has followed up with that, and I believe they have in the past also. It is 100% owned, woman owned.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 44, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 44 is approved. Resolution number 45. BJ, still up.
Resolution number 45, approving the award of contract option year 1 for Co-Stores contract number 4600015618 for aggregate and anti-skid materials for a not to exceed operating budget amount of $377,369.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Peg McCormick Byrne.
Thank you, Peg. Is there a second?
I'll second, BJ.
Thanks, BJ. Any discussion?
Just a comment, and BJ, this really isn't for you, but it's for the staff. This is a piggyback contract on a state effort, and as such, we don't control the MBE, WBE, et cetera, participation, but the state must have similar goals. And I'm wondering if we can find out what this particular supplier is doing at the state level. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 45, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 45 is approved. Resolution number 46, Mr. King.
Resolution number 46 is a request for the board's approval to award a capital contract for the construction of the 2022 sewer reconstruction contract to M. O'Hare and Company in the amount of $1,977,790. Note that this is an annual indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity IDIQ contract that focuses on the reconstruction of public storm, sanitary, and combined sewer facilities throughout the city for the project scope for the 2022 contract, it is focused on the reconstruction of a portion of the sewer and water mains that are located in Fuchsia Way in the Homewood neighborhood. Finally, I want to note the positive total SDP commitment goal of 17.6 on this particular contract. Staff recommends the board approve this award.
Thank you, Barry. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Mark Thomas.
Thank you, Mark. Discussion.
This is Jim. Two comments. Number one, when you hear IDIQ and you know what that means, that also indicates you've been on the board too long. And more importantly, Barry, I believe there was a public meeting on this project recently. How did that go?
So Wednesday night, we had a large turnout and a really good discussion that occurred between PWSA staff, including members of the engineering department, the public affairs department, and our administration. And it was at the Baptist Temple Church right in the Homewood community on Fuchsia Way. So it was a decent engagement and I think really effective for both sides to have that open forum.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Any other discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 46, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 46 is approved. Resolution number 47, Mr. Sadari.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Presenting resolution number 47. This is approving the award of an operating contract for construction of the 2022 City Park CCTV and investigations contract to Jet Jack Incorporated. This is coming out of the operating budget, $895,470.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Erica Strasberger.
Thanks, Erica. Any discussion?
Yes, Jim, Frank, it's my understanding that this would only be used in the city parks that are larger than 50 acres, which are legally our responsibility, as well as other parts of the system that are our responsibility. Is that correct?
That is correct. The focus is the 50-acre and over city parks, and the focus is on the stormwater infrastructure there that we're required to map in accordance with our MS4 permit. So that's the focus of this work.
Thank you.
I was trying to figure out what the connection was, Frank, of why you were reporting this resolution and not someone else. So this is all related to MS4 then.
Correct. The engineering team did all the work to put the bid together and get all the technical pieces done, but this will be overseen by the compliance group because of its requirements under our permit.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any other questions or comments for Frank? All those in favor of resolution number 47, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Aye. Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution 47 is approved. Back to Mr. King for resolution number 48.
So resolution 48 is a request for the board's approval of an amendment of a professional services agreement under our capital budget for design and engineering services for the South Side Flat Sewer Separation Project to Johnson, Miriam, and Thompson JMT Incorporated in the amount of $127,350.63. This is the first amendment which addresses owner-directed changes, requiring additional engineering design services to address our extension of the drainage area network to increase the cost efficiency of the separation project. This also addresses the additional flow monitoring that will be required for a GROW grant application that was not included in the original scope. The revised project area will allow for the full disconnection of existing and future stormwater flows from the existing combined sewer for approximately 25 acres of impervious area. Note that this project will be submitted for that GROW grant funding, and the proposed changes for full disconnection will result in a higher percentage of matching funds. And finally, I wanted to note the positive SDP achieved to date of 35%. Staff recommends the board approve this amendment.
All right, thank you, Barry. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Okay, Jim, is there a second?
Second, Mark Thomas.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion?
This is Jim, just a comment, following Paul Lager's legacy. While I hate to see almost a 24% increase, I'm glad to see that this will result in potential GROW funding at a higher percentage than it would have otherwise. Thank you.
I would second that. And Barry, I guess based on the description and the resolution information, most of these changes were owner related. They weren't related to the designer, because I think it hasn't been
There's
that
no
long.
errors or omissions here.
All right, very good. Any other questions or comments for Barry? All those in favor of resolution number 48, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution 48 is approved. Resolution 49, Barry.
Resolution 49 is a request for the board's approval of change orders of multiple operating contracts for the construction of our 2021 urgent sewer repair to M. O'Hare & Company in the amount of $842,000, to Independent Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $833,000, and amendments to the professional services agreements for our construction management and construction inspection services to Hatch Associates Consultants Incorporated in the amount of $367,250. Note that this is, again, another annual IDIQ contract for addressing the urgent sewer infrastructure repair or replacement throughout the city. These are the first requests for change orders and amendments for these contracts and professional services. I did want to note the positive 18% and 100% SDP participations for both our contractors, M. O'Hare and Independent respectively, as well as the final SDP percentage for Hatch of anticipated to be 12.6%. Staff recommends that the board approve these awards.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Erica Strasberger.
Thanks, Erica. Is there a second?
Second, BJ.
I think I heard BJ first. There was a second. Any discussion?
Just a comment. This is Jim. While I hate to see the percentage increases, two at 25%, one at 80%, understanding that it is an IDIQ contract, it means it will simply get more work done. So thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? I think, Barry, this is, sort of the age-old question on this stuff. I mean, over a course of time, we try to budget in our operating budget for what we think is going to happen based on our crystal ball, and generally we're on the short side of this. So it'd be interesting, I think, at some point in time to go back over the last few years where we have our records are pretty good, and see how we measure up from what we think we're going to have in the budget to what we actually do when it's all said and done. Because I'm assuming that a lot of this work is obviously related to the work that was done in 2021. And while we hate, as Jim says, we hate to see these change orders, they are necessary given all of the repairs that we need for an aging infrastructure. So, but I would like to know how good we are at predicting this over a period of time, say maybe the last 2 years.
All right, I can provide that to the board.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Can Can I just ask what the IDIQ is? I mean, I see it spelled out here, but a definition, like a dummies definition of that, please?
Yeah, the way I would interpret that is it's a contract that's set up without a defined scope at the onset. You know that there's going to be work that's going to occur. You have standard unit items that are bid to allow work to be performed over the course of the contract. But that's the reference to the indefinite delivery. They're not guaranteed to get any amount of work out of the contract, and the indefinite quantity is that a specific number is not guaranteed to them in that contract. But they can't go any higher than what was bid. So for the contract without going back to the board. So that kind of gives you a viewpoint. It's when you have these types of projects where it's addressing repairs and emergencies that come up during a year, you don't know for sure what you're going to get. As Alex was pointing out, you can trend, you can see what's happened in past years, but you just don't know for sure. So that's why it's indefinite.
Thank you. Thanks.
Very good. Any other comments or questions for Barry? All those in favor of resolution number 49, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, resolution number 49 is approved. Resolution number 50.
Resolution number 50 is a request for the board's approval to award a capital contract for the construction of the Lon and Ophelia Green Infrastructure Project to FJ Satola Construction in the amount of $845,150. This project includes our installation of green infrastructure at the city's Lon and Ophelia Parklet, which is located in the South Oakland neighborhood of Pittsburgh. This falls within the M19 combined sewer overflow sewer shed, and also located within Oakland neighborhood. Components include drainage improvements to the right-of-way of both Lawn Street and Ophelia Street, a rain garden within the parklet, subsurface stormwater detentions beneath the rain garden, as well as landscaping and surface path within the parklet itself. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, Mark Thomas.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion?
I have a question
Yes.
for Barry. Is this going to change in any way the ability of families to use the playground? Or is it infrastructure?
This is all infrastructure that's beneath the surfaces. So once we've restored and the path is put back in place, the facilities should still be usable in this location.
Thanks.
This is Peg. I have a geographic question. This is not, I know that there are a couple of parklets in that part of South Oakland. And I'm wondering, is this at all in the area of the proposed, significant redevelopment that has been a subject of discussion over the last several months?
It's my understanding that it's not directly in that zone.
Okay.
As a former resident of South Oakland, Peg, I could tell you exactly where it is. In fact, I used to play basketball like a half a block from there, but all of the development work is actually closer to Bate Street.
Okay.
In that portion of where Bay Street and the Boulevard of the Allies come together. This
Okay.
little parklet is actually about maybe 500 yards up the boulevard to where, not too far away from where the old Pittsburgh Playhouse used to be. Across the
Okay.
street from
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. I haven't specifically paid attention to the, footprint, and it
Right.
occurred to
No,
me that,
it's a good question, and that I know when I was more active on the engineering, working with Barry and staff on this, there were quite a few people who were interested in this project because it is a favorite little refuge in the middle of a big urban center that people like to just go out and sit on the park bench. So I think this green project will certainly help our infrastructure while continuing to provide some respite for the neighbors.
Great.
Good question. Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, this is Jim. Barry, could the staff get back to us at some point in the future on what the impact might be with respect to sewer backups in the area, whether we expect them to be reduced, by how much, assuming that this will have an impact on those? Thank you.
Absolutely. We'll provide further information on that, but for reference, because we tend to bring this up, and I was remiss in this one of noting that for a GI infrastructure basis, we are managing approximately 1.5 inches of rain from approximately 1.86 acres of impervious surface. So that will be the functionality of this infrastructure.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor of resolution number 50, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 50 is approved. Resolution number 51, Barry.
Resolution number 51 is a request for the board's approval to award a professional services agreement under our operating budget for the corrosion control monitoring program to CDM Smith Incorporated in the amount of $706,025.36. The corrosion control monitoring program is a continuation of efforts that have been underway since the implementation of the use of orthophosphate for corrosion control back in 2019. The monitoring allows PWSA to ensure that the use of orthophosphate is optimized in our distribution system. This contract was competitively bid and is for a base of 12-month engagement with the ability to extend this agreement annually thereafter. Note that CDM Smith has provided similar services throughout the United States, including Newark, New Jersey, Chicago, Illinois, Trenton, New Jersey, Rochester, and Monroe County in New York. This contract details regarding the bid can be found in the attached award recommendations. Staff recommends that the board approve this award.
Thank you. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Peg McCormick Barron.
Thank you, Peg. Is there a second?
Second, Mark Thomas.
Thank you, Mark. Any discussion? All those in favor of resolution number 51, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, resolution number 51 is approved. Last resolution on the agenda, Miss Jen Prizzuti.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair Shuley and members of the PWSA board. This month's agenda includes resolution number 52 that is requesting authorization for the CEO to enter into an agreement with the Morewood Heights Association to upgrade the water and wastewater systems in this neighborhood for PWSA's eventual ownership. Staff recommends the approval of this resolution.
Thanks, Jen. May I have a motion?
Motion to approve, Jim Turner.
Thanks, Jim. Is there a second?
Second, BJ.
Thanks, BJ. Any discussion?
Yes, this is Jim. Jen, will you make sure that the board chair reviews any final agreement before it's signed?
I certainly will, Jim.
Thank you.
I can always count on you, Jim, to give me more work. Any other discussion, comments, questions for Jen on this resolution? Well, Jen, this has been an issue that's been ongoing for a while. I want to commend the authority, you personally and staff, for taking a very proactive role in helping resolve an issue that has affected the residents for quite some time. I think it's a fair settlement. I'm happy to see that the work will be done to PWSA standards and then eventually be taken over as part of our system. I hope the ratepayers and the residents appreciate the time and the effort that you and your staff have taken to try to get to a resolution that I think everyone is satisfied with. All those in favor of resolution number 52, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Resolution number 52 is approved. Are there any other issues or matters to come before the board today? All right, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, Jim Turner.
Jim, second.
Second, Erica Strasberger.
Thanks, Erica. All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all. Appreciate it.